All good. So, like I was saying, eBay is so useless. I tried to look up lighters, and all they had were 13,749 matches.
Oh.
I think I found that one on Facebook somewhere. So, welcome back, Weekenders, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Weekend from A to Z. This episode covers the weekend up to December the 28th, 2020. So, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email us at theweekenda2z@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facegram and Instant Book at A to Z Weekend. Search for us on YouTube. Past that, you can go to anchor.fm/A to Z Weekend, where you will find all 11 locations for our podcast, including Spotify.
Ooh. What up, guys? I'm Justin.
I'm Alan.
Yeah, I'm Scott.
And we can get started with tech news.
What's up, homies?
JT is not joining us. He's feeling a bit under the weather, so hopefully it's nothing serious, and he'll be back next week. Tech news. GameStop will officially accept returns for Cyberpunk 2077, even if it's opened.
For full refund?
Full refund.
It's that bad. If it's that bad that GameStop, who wants to give you like
$2
$2
for a $60 game,
or $10 for a functioning PS4. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
I mean, CD Projekt Red has said that they have an update out that'll make the game playable, but I think by then it's too late. They've already been sued by their investors. It just sounds like all bad news.
Wow, that is bad. Getting sued.
What company was it who put it out?
CD Projekt Red.
What else do they put out? Or was this their first big?
I think that's the first big one.
All right, yeah, they're fucked. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Listen, working in IT and having to put out software and shit like that, man. Yeah, there were warning signs. I guarantee there were warning signs that this stuff was going to happen before it went out into the world, and they chose to ignore those things and put out and tried to make investors happy with a launch by hitting a launch date rather than scaling back and fixing stuff that should have been fixed. I've been a part of that in the corporate world, and it screws you every time. So sorry, guys, you messed up.
So this was their first release? There was not a Cyberpunk before?
No, I don't know. There's not a Cyberpunk before. And they hyped this thing up for like 3 years. They've hyped this game up with demos and trailers and storyline, plot lines, and here's what's going to happen, and customer or character customization, and then launch date hits, and it's riddled with bugs. To where it makes, I mean, the game is not unplayable, but there's enough bugs in it that makes it very annoying. So let me take that back. For console players, the game is not unplayable. For PC players, there's actually a patch that they sent out because there was a bug regarding a save file. And if your save file was too big, it would crash the game. So they released a patch to take care of that. But, I mean, by then, if you're a PC player and you're playing this game and your game's crashed because your save file's too big, how many people are going to go back and try to play it again?
Oh, you know what? No, they're the ones that are behind the Witcher games.
Oh, so they do have big games. Okay.
Yeah, which is surprising that they would let something like this out. That's all they have. That's their big games developed were Witcher, were all the Witcher games, and then Cyberpunk 2077, and it's
the Witcher games has done really well. I mean, they have a Netflix show or movie.
No, it's a show, but regardless.
Sure. Yeah. Apple is moving forward with its own self-driving car. Something about 2024, if I remember correctly, the date that I saw. Elon Musk also stated that he tried to talk to Apple about buying Tesla back in 2018 and says they refused the meeting. But, who knows? I think it's funny where would Tesla? I mean, Tesla's doing very well by itself, but you kind of wonder, like, with a giant like Apple, where Tesla would be now.
Does Apple do any collaborations anywhere?
Usually they buy their collaborators, like
Yeah.
with Beats.
Beats, they just bought it.
Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking, that they were just going to that.
Damn it.
They don't want their. They're not going to collaborate. They'll buy, and Tesla was probably too big. Well, I don't know.
In 2018, Tesla was not, well, it wasn't huge, but, you know, I don't know. I mean, that's what Elon Musk says, so who knows? Kentucky Fried Chicken has announced its KFC console. It's a VR-ready, Intel-powered PC capable of 4K ray tracing, gameplay up to 240 frames per second, and a chicken chamber that will keep your chicken warm as you game.
Damn it.
Oh my! Now that's what we need.
Yeah. I'm kind of curious about what it looks like, but you know, I just think it's. I mean, how often are you going to use it? You know, one and then.
It's the goddamn it. I'm just imagining Pizza Hut coming out with a personal pan pizza warmer for your Xbox or
And
what.
I bet that console looks like a pizza box too.
No, I think it's more cylindrical.
Oh, okay.
Because it's got like a bucket, almost like an air fryer. How it's got like the tray.
I was talking about the
basket.
Pizza
Oh,
about the pizza.
Never mind. Yeah.
No,
That
yeah,
does make sense.
Fuck.
Halo fans, there is a Halo TV series in the works, and it's said to air sometime next year in 2021. I'm stoked for it. I thought the miniseries that they did was awesome. I've always liked Halo and its lore and the characters and backstory and all that, so I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see. After that, you can now pre-order the Samsung Galaxy S21, 6.2-inch, whatever phone, with both 120 hertz and 60 hertz refresh rates. The official announcement is January 14th. They also have a 6.7-inch S21 Plus that is going to be available as well. It's a good-looking phone. I like it.
Listen, I bought Apple phone. I'm sticking with Apple phone because I don't want to learn a new OS. I mean, that's really what it is.
Yeah.
They can, until they come out with a phone that does some sort of incredible shit, I'm gonna stick with iPhone, even with all of the pain in the ass stuff that goes along with having an iPhone, the proprietary cables, and all of that kind of stuff.
Still,
yeah, no, it's a total pain in the ass, and I get it, and I understand that it's a pain in the ass, but I don't want to have to learn a new OS. I really don't.
I mean, so the Galaxy runs Android, a lightly skinned version of Android. So, I mean, if you've used Android in the past, it's not going to be that much different, but the icons will look a little bit different because it's Samsung's proprietary, or not proprietary, Samsung's flavor, the UI flavor of the OS.
You know, I've been with Apple since 2014. Is that when they first came out?
No,
like that.
No.
Sooner than that. Oh, I guess that. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, when that the version 1 came out, and I'm so invested in iTunes. I've got so many movies, so much music that I bought.
I hate iTunes.
Yeah, why?
Yeah, no.
iTunes is a bad platform, and they've based everything in that their phones do as far as storage and stuff like that on iTunes. No, it's a total pain in the ass. Huh. Don't get me wrong. I agree with you, but I don't ever want to have to learn a new OS. And as far as and that's the other thing. If you've bought stuff on iTunes, you got to stick with iTunes.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the one thing that I am lucky that I didn't do is buy music on iTunes. I think I have bought an album or two on iTunes, but everything else I kind of skipped over that and started getting into, digital radio. So Pandora when it first came out, and now Spotify.
Yeah.
So, I can get all of that stuff, and it just lives on my phone. It downloads anyway, so I don't have to mess with that.
I've made the mistake of buying music on iTunes before, and then when you try to pull it off the iPhone, it's not labeled the way that, it's not labeled like the artist name and then the track title. It's not labeled like that at all. So your artist name and track title is now in a folder that's like ABXY, and then the file in that folder is CCJW, and you're like, what the heck is this? So you have to like listen to it and go, oh, this is Eminem Stan, whatever. Yeah, it's a pain.
Please don't go away.
Hey, speaking of Apple and iTunes, the Amazon Fire Stick now has an app called Apple TV, and all the movies that I've ever bought through iTunes, I can watch on the Amazon Fire Stick now. So, that's a plus. And anything that I started watching, Ted. Well, we'll get into weekends because I will mention this as well. So,
All right. Other news: Pennsylvania charged a man. So, before I say this, there was an article I read, and the way that the title was, the way the title of the article was very misleading. So then I read the title of the article, and then I read the article, and I was like, oh, that's not what the title doesn't make it sound like this. So I didn't have the title, but so basically, a Pennsylvania man was charged with voter fraud for casting a ballot under his dead mother's name. The way the article was written, or titled, was something like Pennsylvania man charged with voting for Trump under his dead mother's name. But then you read the article and it's like, well, he wasn't charged for voting for Trump. He charged with using his dead mother to vote for Trump. Yeah.
Yes.
Clickbaity article. But
I thought it was the other side that was doing that.
I don't know. I didn't see. I don't remember what news outlet reported it. But one new study suggests that the Milky Way is full of aliens that have annihilated themselves. Hello, Expanse. It's a great show.
Yeah, no, yes, aliens that have annihilated themselves. Listen, anything is possible in a universe as vast and as big as ours. Are there aliens? Probably. Have they been here? I don't know about that. Could there have been civilizations? Could there have been, quote, Star Wars? Literally, it starts out at, long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
I would have to say somewhere in this big universe of ours, we are aliens to someone else, right?
Of course.
And we are on the path of extinction or extincting. I don't know what's the word for doing away with ourselves.
Extinguishing ourselves.
Extinction.
Sure. It's possible, right?
Yeah. Yeah. If you read this article, there's a website called Wait But Why, and they talk about the Fermi paradox, and there's different things about like the different classes of civilizations, and then there's like I forget exactly what type of wall they call it, but there's a specific wall that has to be passed in order for an intelligence to become a civilization in order to become intelligent. And it seems like we're past that wall, and there's so many barriers that keep civilizations or keep life forms from getting past this wall. So it's almost like, the article talks about maybe we're just lucky. Are we the only ones? It's possible, but based on I don't know how many zeros after 1 billions and millions and trillions of stars out there, and how many of those planets could be habitable by our classification. There's got to be life out there somewhere. It may not be intelligent life. It might be plants. It might be animals or whatever, or it could be intelligent life. Who knows? We don't have a lot of intelligent life here.
This is true.
No, we do not.
Yeah, and then the last thing I've got is what's up with this Nashville, the Nashville bomber? What the heck, dude?
Everything points to a crazy white guy conspiracy theorist.
Yeah.
It was from everything I know, which is not a whole lot. Guy was diagnosed with cancer. Went off of it, kind of went off his rocker. Who knows what he was like before all this stuff? Gave away his house and all of this other stuff. He got rid of all of his stuff, and was a 5G conspiracy theorist. And for some reason decided to blow himself up along with part of Nashville's downtown.
Yeah.
We're speaking there's not a lot of intelligent people down here.
One of the dumbest things that I saw on this, it was one of those things that was pointed out because it was just so ridiculous. It was a story about the Nashville bomber, and again, let's get into intelligent people, somebody was like, well, yeah, totally, just like a BLM person. And it was like, what the fuck? He was an old white guy conspiracy theorist. What does that have to do with BLM?
Yeah.
Or anything? I mean, it's the most annoying shit that I've ever come across. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's like all of a sudden, everybody's an expert in this specific field of whatever it is that's going on,
No, you're not. Put your fucking hand down, Scott. Dude, I'm dealing with somebody like that right now on Facebook who, and this is a girl I went to high school with and went to church with, and she was never the brightest crayon in the box at all whatsoever. And it's about the vaccine, and it was, and it said not gonna take it, and it had a link to it was a shared video for somebody, and it was a nurse in Tennessee who got the vaccine and then 3 days later developed Bell's palsy, which is where the right side of your face kind of does whatever. And the nurse in the video, the woman who identifies herself as a registered nurse, is kind of going, it's a 1.5-minute video, and it's like, they don't care about us, this vaccine's not right, so on and so forth. And all I did was respond to this woman's, my friend, this girl that I knew. I said, hey, this is correlation does not imply causation. So just because two things happen near the same point in time does not mean
doesn't
that
mean
they are
that's
related.
Cause. Yeah.
And I said, putting information like out there like that is dangerous, and as a nurse she should know better. And I just, as we started the recording, somebody, one of her friends responded responded with, several other vaccines have Bell's palsy on the vaccine inserts, several other vaccines have Bell's palsy on the vaccine inserts, and several in the trials got it too. When they haven't done any studies to see what the side effects it will cause long term, you can't say this isn't from the vaccine. And I haven't responded yet, but
I would say that's a true statement, but you also can't say that it is from the vaccine as well.
And that's just what and that's exactly what I said. Correlation is not causation. And saying, and as a medical professional, a registered nurse going out and making a statement like that is absolutely dangerous. They should know better. They know that correlate that these two things are. Is it possible? Sure,
it's possible, but that doesn't mean that that's the cause. Plus,
it hasn't been proven.
Bell's palsy can happen just because of stress. Has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with anything that you're eating.
Let me also say that what I did do is I in my response about the causation stuff and admonishing that registered nurse, I did put a link to the Mayo Clinic's definition of Bell's palsy causes and symptoms. So it is. There is no known cause for Bell's palsy. We don't know what it is. We don't. No one has any idea what these things are.
I know a guy that I graduated with from high school. He got Bell's palsy one day, and he said it took about a month to clear up. But he's not a sick individual. He's healthy as far as I know. He's married. He's got kids. Got Bell's palsy. What is he?
So it's just dealing with absolute. I'm tired of dealing with idiots. I'm tired of people thinking, and this is the girl that I went to high school with that has this opinion that feels that she must share it with the world is I believe she's a stay-at-home caregiver now. So it's not like she's, and as far as I know, has never been in the medical field. So it's someone taking what someone's saying and then
as truth.
And then so other people have, I looked at who sent the report or who sent the video out in the first place. And, there are thousands of comments on there, some saying exactly what I said, some saying, yeah, they're trying to kill us, and other anti-government bullshit.
Listen,
but it's one of those things. But this lady is like, well, they took it down, so I must be right. It's like,
no, they took it down because you're spreading false information.
I don't think that's how it works. I don't,
Yeah.
and everybody wants to believe these insane conspiracy theories where, you know, someone is taking something down and, you know, it's like, oh, I was onto the right track. So they must have got scared and took it down and now no one can see it. And it's like, no, that's not
how that works.
That's not how it works at all.
Not how any of this works.
You're throwing information out there that has no backing. A nurse got Bell's palsy 3 days after getting the vaccine. Is it related? You have no idea. Is it possible? Sure, it's possible.
Sure, it's possible.
Is that, but should you go out saying that and touting that the vaccine is the cause of it? No. That is not the smart thing to do.
It's fear-mongering.
Mm-hmm.
It's fear-mongering. Okay, so I give y'all permission this next year to anything that I post on social media that's not family related or podcast related or anything like that. If anything that's political or anything like that, I give you the permission to call me out and tell me to take that crap down, because it does nothing but stresses me out anymore. Reading the stuff from other people, when I'm going through my Facebook, I skim through it. It is going to be a place for me to document my happenings in my world anymore. And I've tried to do that this year, and I've done extremely well. Y'all might not believe so, but I've gone back and deleted some of the old posts, and I do it every once in a while because it's a trap for me. It's a trap. But yeah,
it's a trap.
Listen, dude, I'll put it to you this way: if you want to vet it out through the three of us before you put it on there, and put your opinion to the three of us, you can do that.
No,
but that's what I'm saying.
There's a book.
I appreciate that though.
There's a book called Emotional Intelligence. I think I have it up here somewhere. Anyways, there's a book called Emotional Intelligence. And one of the questions the guy asks in the book is, before you post something on social media, ask yourself 3 questions. Does something need to be said? Does something need to be said by me? And does something need to be said by me right now? And if the answer is no to any of those questions, don't post it. And there's times there, I mean, I find stuff that I want to post, an idea, a thought, a dickhead comment that I'm going to, that I just want to put out there, not in response to anybody, but almost like sub tweeting or, sub messaging or sub tweeting somebody on Facebook, not calling them out by name, but just, I'm just going to go and put that out there. And at the same time, I ask myself these questions, and I go, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I say. That me saying something to argue this other person's point is not going to immediately change their opinion and go, oh, you know what, Alan, you've got a point. You're right. I'm going to go ahead and take my statement back.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go,
that'll never happen either. No one's ever going to do that, because they don't want to hear your opinion. They only want to hear your opinion if it matches their opinion. So
it reminds me of something dumb that my brother did one time. And I was just like,
ooh, tell us.
I don't think.
Tell us the dumb thing he did.
It was just. So so the Bible says, if Jesus said in the Bible, those without sin may cast the first stone. When they were talking to not Mary Magdalene, it was one of the prostitutes in the village who had been caught by sleeping with somebody's husband, and they threw her out of the house that she was in and had her in the street, and they were going to stone her. And then Jesus came up and said, "If you are without sin, then you may cast the first stone." And then everybody left like, oh well, shit, I can't do anything. So my brother, his heart was in the right place, but he, on his wedding night, we're out celebrating on his wedding night. There's these two gentlemen that come up. They're obviously in a relationship with each other, and as opposed to just saying like, hey, how long have you guys been together? And just going from there, like, oh, we just got married, blah, blah, blah. Thanks. Congratulations. All that stuff. As opposed to doing that, he and his wife choose to, pull the guys separately and then tell them, each of them, that what they're doing is wrong. And
let it go.
I have a problem with that, only because, like, now you're telling them, now you're judging is basically what it comes down to.
It's a big blank in your eye, sir.
Yes. You are judging somebody for their lifestyle, for their choices that they made. And unless you're without, to me, if you're without sin, if you haven't done anything wrong in your entire life, then by all means, go ahead and tell somebody what they're doing is wrong.
I would push back on that. I would
You
say
would?
if yeah, and this is what I would say. If you are perfect and without sin, I would say love them where they're at.
Oh yeah,
You know, I mean,
So
don't point out people's flaws. I don't care if you're
that's
perfect or not, because
yeah.
that doesn't bring people closer to you. It just
No.
pushes them away when you point them out.
No, and then the other thing I have a problem with is like this is where people get the negative connotation when it comes to church and Christians. This is definitely where it comes from. Because too many people concentrate like when it comes to church. I feel like too many people concentrate on the can't. Don't do this. Don't do that. You can't do this. You're gonna go to hell for that. You're gonna go for hell. You're gonna go to hell for anything. Doesn't matter what you do. And so the people go, well, I'm not going to go to church because all they tell me is the bad stuff. They never tell me anything about how, God loves us regardless of what. That they never say like anything about like God loves you regardless of where you're at, regardless of the decisions you've made in life. He loves you, period. He, she, God loves you, period. Doesn't matter. You could go and commit a robbery or a crime tomorrow. God is still going to love you. You can go and completely F up your life. God will still love you, period. Like from scratch, but just I don't know. That's just my problem with it. That night I was just like, what are you doing, dude?
No, that's why the way I kind of look at Christianity is the way that is one of my favorite quotes from the Dalai Lama. I like your Christ. I do not like your Christians. You Christians are so unlike your Christ. I believe in Christianity as I believe the sun has risen, not only because I see it, but because by it I see everything else. And that's the problem, is that most Christians today probably wouldn't like Jesus.
It's surprising. I think you're right.
Long-haired.
We're supposed to do what?
Hippie. Yeah. Hippie sandals.
Long hair, hippie. Let's see, who did he hang out with? He hung out with the poor. He was preaching to the poor,
the lepers,
he was preaching
people
to the lepers,
diseased,
prostitutes,
the homeless,
the tax collectors, all of those guys. So all the people that a lot of modern day megachurch type Christians despise and don't like, that's who he was talking to. So, listen, it's one of those things that I think that, if you believe in Jesus and you believe that there's a second coming, most of those people should be kind of scared for the shit that they've done. Because I don't think when he comes back, you're going to be at the top of his list.
I am.
Okay, I hope you're at the top of his list.
I'm striving to be at the
I'll
top
speak
of the
good
list.
for all of you guys.
I'm striving to be at the top of the list.
He and I can have a talk on our own terms, but that's all I'm saying. Is most people who profess to be Christians would not like
the typical Christian is the most hypocritical person I've ever met. Typical Christian. Creasters, the ones that eat Christmas and Easter. Yeah.
Oh no. I'm not even going to call those guys out. I'm not going to call the Creasters out, the Christmas and Easters. I'm going to call the ones that are at church all the time don't.
I'll agree with you there, because even going back to Facebook, some of the stuff that I've seen comes from these people, from the people that are in church every Sunday. Some of the most, not hateful, but some of the most backwards things that I see are coming from those people that I see at church every Sunday. I'm just like, dude, but it's fine. Let's get back on topic.
Was there other tech news for you?
Nope, no other tech news. That was it. Sorry for my
No worries.
No,
this is what it's all about, man.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. Hey, I got some news. I got entertainment news, because we have no F1 news, sad to say. Superman and Lois is coming to the CW in 2021. There's 13 episodes for the first season.
How many times have they done Superman and Lois?
All of them. I love Superman, so another straight man to another mystery man. I'm just saying.
Listen, they're gonna screw. I have a feeling that they're gonna screw it up just like they've screwed up a ton of other stuff. Is what I think.
Scott's like, no.
No. If they keep Superman and Lois inside the CW DC universe, that would be amazing and great. But the issue is they had Supergirl, they've had Flash, they had
Mhm.
Arrow. It was the Arrowverse is what it's kind of
So
formally
did you
called.
not like any of those?
Oh no, I have no problem with those. What I have a problem with is the fact that they then go and make these blockbuster movies and completely shit on the entire thing that has been built up that already has a giant fan base.
Gotcha.
Has the fan base and the following and the history, and then just go like, "Ah,
Yeah.
We're gonna
So
change
now
this
we're
thing.
gonna now we're not
Discuss.
doing that. So that's why I say they're gonna screw up. Is that they're going to have it will be a separate universe or a completely separate entity from what they're doing on in the movies, and it won't make any sense. And I know that the new Flash movie is supposed to be kind of a version of Flashpoint, but they've already done that on in the TV shows.
True.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
I have an ability to put the wall up between the two, and neither do the two shall meet. Although I think that what's the guy? Yeah, the Flash on TV,
Uh-huh.
CW. What's his name?
I don't know.
Oh, I hate names. But I think he's a better one than Ezra, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Or, yeah, I that's my preference. But as long as I do keep them separate, and yeah, it doesn't bother me. For me, I'm not a really good critic because I like just about everything except for a few movies. Because if it takes me away from reality for a little bit, I'm good with it. We might be discussing this topic when it comes to Wonder Woman in the second half, but
Mhm.
yeah, I'm looking forward to it. See what they can do. I was happy with the Arrow. I love Flash. I didn't
Either
get
that
much
or
into
it's going to
Batman
be
or
I think it's
Batgirl.
either going to be fine or it's going to be like, do you remember the old, was it the 90s show Lois and Clark?
Yeah. I think I have a.
And
few
it was
of
going
those.
and it's going to be and it was
yeah.
like and that was fine. It was a fine show,
Sure.
but it wasn't a great show. And I think that's the thing is it's just going to be this kind of fine show. You know, it's like it's fine. I don't have a problem. You know, I won't have a problem
you're
with
right.
it, but it's going to be one of those things where it's like, and honestly, I never got into the Arrowverse or anything like that just because when I knew about it, it was way too late and I never got into it. But it may be one of the things that I decide to start getting into. But I don't know. I was always more of a Marvel guy than a DC guy.
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah.
Other than Batman.
Yes, other than Batman, I've always been more Marvel than DC, so maybe that's why I'm not really super excited about a Lois and Clark.
Well, then,
I mean,
fine, guys. Let's move on from my superhero story.
I can watch it for entertainment value, because I mean, I've never really kept up with like the history and the backstory of Superman and all that stuff. I mean, aside from the bigger, more obvious things, but
what are you trying to do? He's just the big blue Boy Scout. Everything's fine.
Yeah. So y'all are a little bit younger than me. I think maybe 12 years at least. So I grew up on the black and white Superman and the 60s Batman. I don't know. Did y'all watch?
Oh yeah.
I've seen some of those. Yeah.
Yeah, those are great. Those are greatness.
Yeah. The I can't remember the guy's name who played Superman, the black and white Superman from the 50s. No,
Reeves.
I watched the No, Chris Reeves was 70s. It was
No, it was his name was Reeves. Yeah. I've always found that was interesting that both Reeves, who played Superman, are dead. You know, they had a tragic ending.
Strange track. Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a good. No, I watched I got into the 60s Batman stuff when Batman 89 came out, that's when they started showing all the reruns of all the 60s Batman stuff. So that's when I got into all of that stuff. And I was like 11 or 12 when that happened. So
what is y'all's opinion on the campy Batman versus the serious Batman? So we got the 1960s, a little bit of the Joe Schumacher stuff, and then we've got, Christopher Nolan's Batman. Thoughts on that?
I liked seeing Batman portrayed in a real world way with Nolan. I thought it was very cool. Using stuff that could, what would it look like if there were, if Batman was a real entity in a real place. I liked Tim Burton's Batman, the Batman and Batman Returns. I thought those were great. The Schumacher stuff was too far out and too ridiculous because it just didn't. it was something to sell toys, if that makes any sense. I mean, that's what it was.
Mm.
Whereas at least with Batman 89 and Batman Returns, they were, they were trying. I mean, it was trying to be serious, kind of. Set in a Tim Burton world. I mean, it was trying to be serious, but I don't have a problem with that. And then as far as the Adam West Batman, that was just fun. There was nothing wrong with it. I mean, was it campy? Yeah. Did the plots make no sense? Yeah, the plots made no sense. But this is the same time that this is when the Munsters was a TV show where you have a family
And
where you have a
greatness.
family of monsters that did stuff. And again, it was just a fun sitcom show. That's all it was. It wasn't any. Yeah, I wasn't looking for high art with that. You know what I mean? It was just fun. And the same thing with the 60s Batman. It was just fun. Who cares?
George Reeves was the
George
60s.
Reeves.
Yep.
All right. Anything else, Scott?
No, that's
When does F1 season start back up?
March.
March.
My birth month. Just so y'all know, if you want to get your presents now, I'm looking for tickets for any F1 race.
Probably
Okay.
one. It would have to be here in Texas if it's still going
Coda.
on.
We need to start saving up now. That's $800 at least. That was, before COVID. I don't know, since they're going to have fewer fans in the seats, I'm sure that it'll be even more if they even have fans in the seats. But I've got a lot going on this next year, so it might not happen next year. But that is something on my bucket list.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You guys want to get into weekends?
Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So, I'll go first. So it was Christmas time. So we did Christmas stuff.
What a time, I thank me.
I had my Christmas. Let's see. On the, what do we do on the 20? I was going to tell you guys something that happened on the 23rd, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, that's what it was. So I haven't seen my dad since last Christmas.
Oh, that's
because
sad.
we it's whatever.
It's
we
so
have
bad.
we have a tumultuous relationship at best. But I hadn't spoken to him since July because that's who my dad is. Sometimes we talk, sometimes we don't talk. Everything's fine. So on the 23rd, he kind of called me out of the blue. Answer the phone. Hey, Pop, what's up? And it wasn't, it was just one of those things that after a while, I'm not going to, again, our shit's tumultuous and weird in and of itself. I can get into a lot of backstory if you want to go there, but you probably don't. Anyway, he called me up and it was like, hey, hadn't talked to you in a while. Hey, Pop, what's going on? Haven't talked to you in a while either. And we just kind of talked and he was like, how's work going? Told him work stuff. How is, he asked about my wife. He asked about my son. I'm like, yeah, everything's doing good. We're good. Everything, just kind of giving him the quick and easy of the last 5-6 months. And then of course he starts in on politics. And it's one of those things like my dad and I disagree, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I'm not a kid anymore where I'm just going to kind of roll over and let it and take it, if that makes any sense. Where it's just like, okay, for the sake of peace in the family, I'm just going to let it ride and have my own opinion and do whatever. I'm a 42-year-old man and I can do, and if you're going to come at me with nonsense, I'm going to come back at you with facts. And so there was just a lot of, for like another hour, it was like, well, what about this? Well, Dad, you're actually wrong because here are facts that back up my statement. Well, what about this? Just so it was, and finally we got off the phone. And it was like he tried to get out of talking politics and I let him. He was like, so what about this other thing? And I was like, yeah, Dad, that's, certainly blah, 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 blah. And then as we're getting off the phone, he starts up with politics again. So that was fun. Then on,
Yay.
I was just singing Let It Go.
Yeah. So then on the 24th, my dad sends me a text and is like, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? And I was, I was working. I was like, yeah, I'm working. Just working. What's up? And he was like, Santa will be there in 20 minutes. And so my dad shows up at my house 20 minutes later with you know, he didn't he gave us like cards and stuff, and then he had some blankets that, or afghans, that my grandmother had crocheted that he had in storage forever, so he gave those to he gave those to us.
Nice.
And it was nice, and
Yeah.
he got a little misty, and I gave him a big hug and told him I love you, told him I love you, and he was not seeing you in a year was too long. And it was like, Dad, I understand. Pick up the phone anytime you want, call me. I'm happy to. Can we not talk about fucking politics? So so we so that was that. Christmas Day, I cooked a pot roast. We bought, we had presents for my son and stuff like that, which, I mean, he's 15, so it's mainly clothes and then peripherals for everything on his computer. So, it's that kind of stuff. That night we went over to my sister's house and sat outside for a while and played and just talked, and then played games. Went inside and played games. Everybody wearing masks and all of that stuff, because she's worried about all that stuff, and as we all are. So we played games. Played a new game that I got called The Mind. Have I told you about this game yet?
Oh yeah,
That's a really cool game. Long and short of it is, you have a deck of cards numbered 1 through 100, and you shuffle the deck, and you start out in round. If it's usually it's 4 people, and you start out in rounds. And round 1, everybody gets 1 card, and you kind of stop and take a breath. And when you start, you are to collectively put the cards in numeric order.
Oh yeah.
Without saying a word. And then round 2, everybody has 2 cards, 3 cards, so on and so forth, all the way up to 12 rounds to get it done.
So
and then
ahead. So when you put down a card, do you take another one out of the deck?
No.
No.
Okay. It is just the cards in your hand, and you're just everybody collectively. So if you're playing with 4 people, you have cards 1 through 100 that are all mixed up.
Yeah, you deal all of the cards out.
Gotcha. Okay.
No, well, we didn't. No, so you only deal out. So in round 3, you only deal out 3 cards to each player.
That's right. I'm sorry, it's been a while.
And then it's so you're trying. 4 people are trying to put 12 cards in numeric order from 1 to 100. And you don't know where anybody else's cards fall. And you're trying to do it as quick as possible.
What are the cards that give you the little the safety? They're stars, right?
Shurikens. Yeah, like they're ninja stars, shurikens. And then there's some other stuff. But like shurikens are usually like, oh well, I played all these cards, or somebody went out of sequence, so we got a safety. So we can continue with this round to see if we get through it. And you can do that 3 times in a round before, they're fun. There are fun rules that go along with it, but it's just a really fun game to try and get in sequence with people. And I think we made it to round 5, and we stopped using the shurikens and started just trying to get it. And it was one of those things where like somebody will lay down like number 50. Well, the next card I have that's in that sequence would be 72, but everybody's hesitating. So you start thinking like, is it on me? So I put down a 72, but somebody had a 63. It's that kind. Somebody had a 63, and then somebody else had a 65. But nope, whoever had the 63 hesitated too long, so somebody had to take in. It's like getting to an intersection at the same time as 3 other cars.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Who's going to take initiative?
Yeah. You can't say there's no words, but you do tend to start after a while playing with the people. You kind of learn their body language, and that, it's kind of interesting. I love the game. It's
so much fun. I love it. It
sounds like fun.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So we did that, and we played code names for several rounds, and we just ate and
original
original code names, and then I got them Disney code names, which is much more difficult.
I believe it,
because there's only like stuff that we ran into, like when playing code game, the Disney code names, it was like nobody's looking at the full 25 cards on the board, so somebody will go like Rapunzel 2, and they thinking there's only 2 things, but there's 8 things on the board having to do with that thing, and somebody started and they didn't see it and they're like, oh holy crap, what did I do? So but yeah, so we played Codenames, did all that stuff. That was Christmas. Into I think Friday we just kind of chilled. We didn't do anything, just laid around.
Before you get off the game subject real quick, I kind of want to put a little bit in there. I think well, that just sounded almost too strange. So I'm excited because I have a friend that I think can handle playing the game Villainous. So we need to have you come over. I love Villainous, but none of my family wants to play it because it's a little bit too thinky.
Okay. You know what? I have I bought Villainous and I have one of the expansion packs, but we haven't ever played it. I like those are the type of games that I play. I like nerd games. I like games that take a couple of hours to play and that aren't Monopoly or Risk or whatever. And there's nothing wrong with Monopoly or Risk. It's just I would rather play I want to play this other one that I haven't played before that has more nuance. But yeah, so we did that, and I can't remember what else we did over the weekend. Everything feels like a big old blur. It was enough time on work off of work, not enough time off of work. This week at work is totally. I mean, I think all of my meetings. I had one meeting yesterday. I was supposed to have 2 meetings yesterday. One got canceled. My hour-long meeting got canceled. And my 30-minute meeting that I had was supposed to have with 12 other people to just kind of level set with what we're on. That took all of 5 minutes because they just said, hey, just checking in, see ya. I had a one-on-one today, and then now my calendar is free for the next 3 days.
Nice.
So it's one of those things where I'm just like, I still got to show up online. Do you know what I mean? But it's going to be I'm going to be watching movies or catching up on shows or looking at YouTube on my computer and all of that stuff.
Okay.
And that's one of the things that I hate about my work laptop is because there are no speakers on it.
What?
There are no speakers, and the headphone port.
That?
Yeah, and the headphone, I'll have to check because I have a peripheral headphone jack thing, but it is the headphone jack. Like these headphones, it has like the third jack for the mic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Won't work. I can't get any sound because it has that third jack in it, and it screws up it won't go in there. Yeah, it's one of the. Yeah, so if I have to connect with them, I have to connect with Bluetooth headphones. It's real annoying.
Gotcha.
Anyway, off that stupid soapbox, but yeah, so that's I can't remember anything else that we did that was big, or we just kind of chill. I mean, watched Wonder Woman, of course, but we'll get into that in the second half. But yeah, that was the other kind of big thing. I haven't watched Soul yet, from Disney Plus. I'd want to watch that, but I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll go next. For me, Wednesday I worked until like 3:00. There wasn't really a whole lot going on. The developer that I've got.
I talked to you on Wednesday, didn't I? Because we talked about the Expanse. Yeah,
we talked about the Expanse. Yeah, but the developer that is creating some changes in the system was having issues with the testing that he was doing. Mm-hmm. So he was like, yeah, it's not going to be ready till next year. And it's not going in until the 23rd of January. So there's time, but he said
that's my birthday.
Yeah. Oh, it is. Yeah. So he was saying that it's January 23rd.
No, yeah, it's my birthday.
And so, the developer said that it won't be ready till next year. So I was like, okay. So Wednesday, not a whole lot going on. Got off work at 3, talked to Justin. I needed some help. So Isaiah's almost 2, and there are times where he's frustrated with things because he can't articulate and communicate to a point to where we understand. Also on me, I'm not able to understand exactly what it is like that he is looking for. And so we have our moments where, not just me, but my wife and I, we have our moments where he's just like, everything's crying and tears, and he doesn't, everything's no, nothing's right. kind of thing. So I called Justin. I was like, dude, how do you deal with this? How do you work through this? So Justin and I had a good conversation. I want to thank you for that, Justin, because it did calm me down and put me in a better frame of mind.
The answer is walk away and don't do shit. For anyone, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, you got to make sure your kid isn't, going to hurt themselves or so frustrated or whatever. And you got to make sure that you're not in a place where you want to, get super angry and yell at a kid who's almost 2 and doesn't understand things. But yeah, it's once kids are in that place where they've lost it and they're in that tantrum mode or whatever, you can't reason with them until they calm down.
Yeah.
And you gotta take a deep breath and realize that you're the adult in the situation and let it fucking ride. Pretend it's Vegas.
Pretend it's Vegas.
Yeah. You can pick them up by the scruff of their neck and yell at them. I don't know if that. No, it's not good.
That's not gonna. You can't do that. I mean, you could do that with a 2-year-old, but that's not. They don't know.
He's still not going to know what's going on.
Yeah. Then you're just mean.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Then you're just an asshole.
My name is Scott. If you haven't been introduced yet.
Well, listen. Yeah. There's a thing with there's a borderline on being an asshole and child abuse, and we don't want to ever be anywhere near that line.
No. Also, Justin and I, we talked about The Expanse. We're now in season 4.
Ooh. You got through it?
Yeah. We're now in season 4, and it is
that second half of season 3. It's just like, wait, what?
Yeah,
everything. What?
It's
and
crazy.
The whole thing. The guy's daughter shows up, and you're like, who the fuck is this lady? And yeah.
So the part we're on right now in season 4 is they're in one of the other worlds, and they're on the planet Ilum. I think is what it's called. They're on the planet Ilum. They just destroyed the little center, I don't know, the top that's spinning around on the planet. Just destroyed that thing, and now they're trying to calm down the Belters and the Earthers and all that stuff going on there. So very good. I love it.
So in that mid-season 3 thing where you see the guy who's trying to now impress his girlfriend or the girl that's now sleeping with his best friend or whatever.
Amos or whatever.
No. I'm talking about like the kid who's one of the what did they call it? What's the racing that they do when they're trying to gravity well racing or whatever?
No, slingshotting.
Yeah, when he was slingshotting through the there's a racing thing, and it doesn't play a big part in the show, but there's racing that they do, and they're using the
gravity of the planets,
and moons and stuff to make these slingshot things and try and get through stuff. And at this point, there is a ring that he is trying to slingshot through, and he's going super fast. He's trying to just skim through this thing, and it turns out
before like all the scientists and stuff get there. Yeah.
And he's going super fast, and all of a sudden it looks like a force field, and
he stops.
And the vehicle itself stops.
Yeah. But all know the momentum.
But he's in motion, and it's not super like gory graphic, but kind of, but it's one of those things that when I had heard about the show, it was one of these episodes. It's like, what happens when in space you stop suddenly? And it's like everything, if the craft stops, you don't stop. So that's why you have seatbelts in your car, because you are also traveling at 60 miles an hour, and everything around you is traveling at 60 miles an hour. So when you hit the brakes, and slam your brakes on, that's why the seatbelt hurts you.
Man, I was thinking space would cut you in half.
Well,
it basically liquefies you.
Basically, that's what happened to the guy.
I guess I do need to catch up on this.
Yeah, we watched that, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was terrible too, because he's talking to his girlfriend. He's been away for like months and stuff, and then she's like, she sends him the message, and I was like, oh, here it is. And
well, it was this. He has this like pretty young thing back home, and then she starts sleeping with his best buddy, and he's like, I'm gonna show you, bitch. I can show you what I can do. And then she's like,
and then she sends him a message like, oh my gosh, you're doing these great things. She's hyped about him now. Oh my gosh, you're doing this.
If you do
thing.
this all this is yours, baby. If you get this done, and then there's liquefaction. It's so funny.
Yeah, but so we're quite a few episodes past that now. But Yeah, so it's good. So we watched a lot of Expanse on Saturday, but so Friday we had breakfast at home, had some turkey sausage here with scrambled eggs. That's when Justin and I talked. We talked about the Expanse. Then after that, we went to my parents' house and had Christmas there, and we played Parcheesi. My dad won, and then I won the second round. I had dinner, and then we opened up presents and proceeded to make gingerbread houses, which is a lot of fun. I've never made a gingerbread house before, but we all enjoyed it. So I think it's going to be like another little family tradition where we
very cool.
Everybody comes to mom and dad's house, and then we all have gingerbread houses, and everybody makes their own and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun, actually. It was really, I don't want to say actually, it's always fun at my parents' house. So
do y'all eat the gingerbread house afterwards?
We didn't. I mean, we ate some of the candy.
I've never
making it.
Anytime I've made a gingerbread house, which has been like 3 times in my entire life, then becomes a decoration. And then at the end, and usually you do it, I don't know, sometime during the week of Christmas, as people are baking baking stuff and getting ready for the holiday and everything. It's just one of those things that kind of occupies some time. And then it sits around for a week, and then you throw it away because it's now old unwrapped candy that's been sitting out for a week.
You know what I would do with it? I would play King Kong.
Yeah, Godzilla and just smash all the buildings.
Smash.
Oh, Godzilla!
Yeah, the gingerbread houses. I mean, the gingerbread tasted okay. So we had 2 different kinds. We had a Candyland one. There was another one that was actually gingerbread, and then there was a Nestle's Toll House one, which was like chocolate chips. So
tell me more.
It was good. The frosting was actually pretty good, but I'm sure that the gingerbread houses themselves are chock full of preservatives. You probably really don't want to eat it. I mean, it tasted okay, but
I'm looking for ways to preserve myself, so put them all in there. Wait,
I don't know if that's how it works.
No,
that's totally how it works. That's science.
Yeah. So
you can quote. I'm going to put that shit on Facebook, and then they can come after me with that.
Yeah. So Saturday, Scott and I recorded the first podcast for the Mighty Anvil. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. It's also making me rethink.
Stepping out on me? What are you doing? What is this shit? I wasn't invited. I'm not a guest. I don't know.
Completely different podcast, but it's causing me to like rethink some of the things that I do in my normal like every day, which is good things. I mean, like I'm under construction, as Alonzo would say. I'm always trying to make myself. Not always, but I'm trying to make myself better. So with that being said, we're very careful with like watching our language, like around Isaiah, because then the last thing we want him to do is pick up something that he thinks is, oh, it's funny because look at how mom and dad reacted, and then we're like, no, we don't say that, So and then on top of that, just in my normal everyday life too, just
as someone who's been through like the trying to not cuss around kids and all that stuff, at some point you will more than likely give up on that.
Well, we don't really have to try that hard.
The reason I say that, I do because I cuss like a sailor. But what we did, and this worked very well, once we realized that Xander knew the words and knew how to use them appropriately.
Oh boy.
One of my favorite stories is the first time he got in trouble for cursing when he was 4 at daycare, because he was pissed off at somebody kept messing with him. And so he had a little fit, and they had put up the chairs on the desk for the end of the day and all of that stuff.
Yeah,
and he
I remember that.
He got mad, and he took the chairs and he cleared the chairs off of the desk. And he went, "Fuck!"
Oh no!
And I was like,
"Oh no!"
And I wasn't mad, I didn't get mad at him and punish him hard for, it was like, you shouldn't have done that. You need to, control your temper, all of that stuff. Also, who uses those words? He's like, I heard you say it, and I heard mommy say it. And I was like, those are grown-up words. Kids don't say grown-up words. I never said they were a bad word. I never said that they were, that they were curse words or whatever. I said, those are grown-up words. And until you're a grown-up, you don't say it. And that bought me until he was about 13. And then I would hear him cussing like while playing video games and stuff in his room. And at that point, I'd be, I would yell from the other room, like, hey, dude, tone it down a little bit.
Yeah.
And he was like, sorry. And that was it. But yeah, kids are going to cuss.
Yeah.
It's a new thing. So saying that they are adult words that kids don't use got me a lot of years.
Okay. I'll remember that if it happens.
If it works for, hey, I'm just saying it worked for me.
Yeah. So after recording our podcast,
Scott wants to say something. Scott can say something.
Go ahead, Scott.
Okay, so in this house, it is night and day of the parents and their cussing. I do look at them as cuss words or curse words, and I think that they're inappropriate for anybody to use. They do slip out of me from time to time, but the other half of me, she is a sailor, and it is very. I mean, it gets to a level of shocking for me. Like it's like I cringe sometimes. Like whoa, every sentence has to have two of them. But trying to listen to my son.
Every sentence I have two of them.
I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
But listening to Caden play video games, it's like, it's hard to, hey, look, dude, I don't approve of it in my house, but because Tammy does, it's a battle, and it bothers me to no end. But it's not a battle I choose to fight right now. But all I do is I lead this way, and hopefully one day that they see, you can't use that in your business life, I don't believe. And I just think to me, this is my opinion, I don't think it shows a lot of respect when you use those words. That's how I was raised. That's the legacy that was put forward on me. I know that my grandfather would have whooped my butt if anything came out of me that was, a cuss word or a curse word. So
I've caught a hand for saying some stuff I shouldn't have said. I've caught a hand in the face when I was younger.
I highly respect my grandparents. I know they're no longer with us, but it was something that was a core value of theirs, or a value of theirs, to be respectful at all times. And I understand that some people, Caden, like, why does that bother you so much, Dad? It's just a word. And in the past couple of days, I've thought about that conversation. I'm like, well, if it's just a word to you, but it means a lot to me, why can't you respect me in that fact that I would prefer you not to use them? When you're outside of this house, I understand I don't have any control of that, and that is your world. But when you are in my house, I would prefer you not to. However, the other half, I'm telling you, it's a night and day difference on our two and our beliefs on that. So
no, and that's I mean, listen, that's fine. And again, if that's the rule you want to have for your house, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
The big thing that I wanted, the thing that I wanted with in talking to my son about this stuff, is I just wanted him to realize that, I mean, words have value and words have meaning. And when he was 4 and 5 years old, me trying to explain that concept to him would have gone over his head.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So by me saying those are grown-up words that kids don't use and they're not allowed to use, gave it a buffer. You know what I mean? And now as we've gotten older and he says stuff, and it's like, he says stuff, or he's, or if I have to go and explain a word to him or something like that, it's like, hey, dude, this is what this means, and you don't need to use that. And this is why. He's like, oh, okay. And I don't hear him use that word anymore. So, I mean, it was more of a way to kind of get around having to, just
having to explain.
The thing I don't want to happen is what's happening with my niece. And I love my sister, and I love my niece, but now everything is a bad word to her. She's 10, and it's like, if you say shut up, even if it's like, I'm not mad or saying it in an angry way, but if it's like, if you say something silly and I'm like, dude, shut up, she's like, oh, and it's like, I don't want you to be,
Yeah, no, that's a different level for me. I don't have,
it's like, oh, well, you're, don't be so, don't be stupid with that, or don't be dumb. They're like, ooh, dude. And it's like, no, that's not what it is. Those are words that have meaning that you should be able to understand.
Well, I'm with Scott. In our house, it would not be tolerated. Like, that's how I grew up in my parents' house. Like, my parents are from Africa. You just don't. I mean, everybody's seen the YouTube video where it's like, there's a black kid and there's a white kid in this YouTube video, and they're playing video games at the one boy's, at the Caucasian boy's house. Mom. Yeah, and he's like, "F you, mom! I did that ish yesterday." And then the black kid's looking like, "What?" Like, you can say that? And then they go to his house and playing video games. His mom says something in the background. He says the same thing, and mom comes at him.
Oh yeah.
Like,
No.
quick.
It's one of those things. And it's all about context. You can cuss. You can't cuss at me.
Yeah.
You can, if you're playing Xbox with your friends and something bad happens, you're like, oh motherfucker, damn it.
Mhm.
I don't care,
What's wrong with saying snickerdoodles?
There's
Jiminy
nothing wrong
Christmas.
with saying
I like to say
snickerdoodle,
shiggles.
but shiggles.
Shits and giggles. Yes. Shiggles.
Sweet Christmas.
You can use that.
But it's one of those things.
Sweet
Yeah, but it's
Christmas.
one of those things where, sweet Christmas. But it's one of those things like, I'm not going to jump all over him for saying something that way. Do you know what I mean? But if it's like, if we're having an argument and he's like, F you, well, that's just a sign of disrespect. That's a disrespect thing.
Agreed.
And that's not tolerated.
Yeah.
It's not that you said the word, it's the fact that you disrespected me.
There was
anyway.
the intent behind the word.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, we tracked off of your.
No, it's all good. I got my notes here on the side. I know exactly where I'm at. After we
keep going.
After we recorded the podcast, we had. I'm going to call it Rudy's still. So we went to Rudy's. Scott and I went to Rudy's and had our men's meeting there. We went around our discussion groups and.
But it's at the church now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we went around our team itself, and we talked about a book that we're reading, Make Your Bed, and just takeaways from that. And then also, I guess next week's topic is going to be goals and core values, to talk about that. So yeah, I mean, that was Sunday. We watched a lot more Expanse. After that, Shannon and I, we did not have the baby, so he was at my parents' house. So Shannon and I, we went out to dinner, no, we went out to dinner, and we actually, so I took her to the place that we had our first date at, Roots Chicken Shack at Legacy Hall. So we went there and had dinner there, and then we, planned out our goals for next year. So Scott, when we have our discussion on Saturday about goals, I will have all that stuff for you.
Right on.
Yeah, and then after that, I mean, just kind of we went out and had dinner and came back and just kind of chilled, did some stuff around the house, cleaning up and wrapping other presents for Isaiah. Sunday, we had church at Grace Point. We had a fantastic message brought by Austin Odell. He actually had a really, really good message, and it was good. And then we were going to go to lunch with another couple, but that didn't pan out. So we came home, had lunch, and then later went out to Theron's house and had dinner with he and his wife. And then we played spades and talked, caught up. Yeah, whooped them in spades. We did good.
Wait, I always get Theron and Kayvon mixed. Who just had the baby?
Theron.
How is the baby? How is all of that?
Oh, he's fantastic. He's awesome. He looks a lot like their daughter. But yeah, no, I mean, the baby's doing well. He's just, I mean, eyeballing everything, and I'm sure learning way faster because he's got 4 other siblings to like look up to. But,
yeah, those
4 other siblings and everybody's home.
And everybody's home, yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much the weekend.
Scott, take us home.
What do you got?
Well, so let's start off with Christmas Eve. Went to my mom's house. We played cockroach poker, and the box lies because it says for 6 years and up, and those elderly people did not grasp the game very well. Love you, Mom, but still, it was only cockroach poker. Got some presents, did some opening of that, had Mexican food for dinner there. Saturday morning, tamales.
Nice.
We also had tacos and fajitas. Yeah, I rather enjoy it. I'm almost burnt out on turkey after 50 years. Christmas Day, woke up, had Christmas here with the kids. I got me a new record player, which is an amazing record player. I love it. It does everything I want to do. So I listened to the first album that was on there was or the first song. Yeah, of course it was Prince. There's anytime there's a new car, Prince is the first song. This particular song was Elephants and Flowers. If y'all never heard that, I highly recommend it. It talks about God making everything from elephants to flowers. So Then went to my dad's house. My sisters, if you kind of watch my little box here, you'll see that we ran a Harry Potter 5K. I got me a magic. I got me my wand that I get
Nice.
to do some spells with, but none of them are working right now. I don't know Leviosa, Levioso. I don't know. Yeah, the 50-year-old beat the 30-year-old's 5K by a couple of minutes. So
Mhm.
Way to
sorry,
go, man.
sisters, but don't let an old man outdo you. That's all I got to say. Just kidding. Then the wife and I and the kids drove home, went to Cinemark Cut, and watched Wonder Woman on Christmas night.
Mhm.
Okay.
So then that brings us up to Saturday. Was an exciting day for me. I've been really looking forward to the new podcast, and we recorded our first one. We had our guest Chuck Phelps on, talking about the origins of the anvil and what it meant, and we talked about Hoosier 3. So that was the bar was set high on that one.
Very high.
Saturday, went to what I call is Rudy's, because I don't know how to call it anything else. After that, took my niece to, I want to call it unicorn vomit, but it's not. It's rainbow vomit. It's been there for 2 years, this place. The front door is literally right across the street from the gates of Fair Park.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's a art exhibit, but when you walk in, they go, "This is really a great opportunity for photos or pictures with your friends." It's a really, really great backgrounds for that kind of stuff. So highly recommend it. The first room that you're looking at right now is it was done so that it makes it look like a comic book, old style comic book. It was kind of neat.
Okay.
Some of the visual effects in there were really cool. It's not really transferring over into the screens here.
Mhm.
As you go through the different rooms, there is a hidden room that you have to find the access to that room by looking through the rest of the exhibit. I don't want to give it away in case anybody wants to go. So, yeah, but the hidden room is the cloud room, which here in a second on the rotating of the pictures you'll see right there.
Yeah.
It is just so cool, and the music that is really it's really meditative. So, and they got this papasan, not a papasan chair. What are those? The bean bags, the huge ones that everybody
Love sacks.
loves.
Yeah, love sacks.
Yeah.
Baby. Yeah. So I sat in that for a little bit and just kind of relaxed. Maybe recalling some days of inappropriate mood or altered drug use, whatever. Alyssa, Caden, do not listen to your father right now. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. Take your friends and look at it as an experience to take pictures with your friends. It's just a really good backdrop.
Right on, man.
Sunday, went to church, served in the kids ministry. It was not supposed to be my last time for serving was a couple weeks ago, but they had a couple people come down with COVID. So I remember missing a weekend because of my COVID. So I stepped up and served that area.
Mhm.
This weekend, started, I found the Apple TV app and started watching, I said it earlier, Ted Lasso.
Mhm.
Loved that show. It's it's a series, 10 episodes, 30 minutes each long, whatever. Follow me there. I won't give any more information out on what it does to me, because I am a puss when it comes to people doing things for other people, or showing respect, helping them out, becoming better people, encouragement. Those kind of things destroy me.
Mhm.
And Ted Lasso, just a kind of 6 years ago, it was a ESPN commercial. Sudeikis, I forget his
Yeah,
first name.
Jason
Yeah.
Sudeikis.
Yeah, he's
Former SNL member, former SNL cast member. He was in is it The Millers?
Yeah.
Whichever one. Yeah, The Millers. It was a movie with Jennifer Aniston. Yeah, him.
Yep. So it was a commercial back then, but I guess Warner Brothers picked it up and Apple TV is showing it. So he is a American football coach who is hired on a English football team. He knows nothing of soccer, like nothing. So one of the jokes is the ref calls offsides, and he goes, "What? How can you call that offsides? I mean, like, really, I don't know what the rule means. What does that mean? Can you define it?" It's just so funny. And his assistant coach was reading books on soccer on the flight over there.
Oh my gosh.
The premise of him being hired on is the owner of the soccer team is getting divorced with his wife. His wife ends up with the team. His wife is like, okay, you love this team, so I'm going to do everything I can to destroy it. That's why she hires someone who knows nothing about football.
Gotcha.
Maybe not, turns everything in a positive way. And so highly recommend the show. Fell in love with it. My next show that I will watch after y'all been talking about it is The Expanse. So we'll start on that here pretty soon. Or pick it back up. But yeah, that was...
Yeah, The Expanse starts slow, but once it gets it's like it's like a steamroller. Like once it gets rolling, it goes.
It moves. It's a good show.
Right on.
We are thoroughly enjoying it.
Yep.
Well, and yeah, I think that was my weekend, guys.
Cool. Well, let's take a break, and then we'll come back and we will dive straight into Wonder Woman 1984.
Let's do it.
All right. See you guys.
Bye. Game.
And we're back. What's up, guys? So everybody watched Wonder Woman. Scott went and saw it in the theater. I watched on HBO Max.
Yep.
How'd you watch, Alan?
HBO Max also.
HBO Max.
Yeah.
Hey, my kids need clothes, guys. Y'all need to get out there.
Hey, man. Well, you get people to wear masks and do shit they're supposed to do. I'm happy to go back out.
Oh, you know what?
Anyway,
I'm
putting that on you.
I think 4 of us, $25 each. We can get a theater, $25. Yeah, let's do it. We've talked about it before, but anything coming out, we'll take a look and we'll figure that out. Yeah.
There's that new Tom Hanks movie that came out that's a Western that I kind of wanted to see, or takes place at like turn of the 20th century, I think. I don't know. Anyway, Wonder Woman 1984. We're just gonna we'll go around. We'll start with Scott and then Alan and then me, and just give your first what did you think? It was amazingly brilliant. It was kind of mediocre. It was hot garbage. Let's go, Scott.
So I think I told you guys at the very beginning of the show, somewhere in there, that I am not a good critic of movies. There are few movies that I dislike. Happiness is one of them. It was probably the worst movie I've ever seen due to some of the things. If y'all have not seen it, I don't recommend it.
I saw it in the theater when it first came out.
Oh my!
That is when I saw that movie in the theater, there was and this is in the 90s. There was a sign, like a handwritten sign on the box office that said refunds for happiness will not be given. Okay. So it's supposed to be a dark comedy. It is one of the darkest things that I've ever seen.
Oh, it was dark.
Yeah.
So dark.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
So yeah, like I said, there's only a few movies that I dislike. So what I look for when I go to a movie, do I lose myself in the movie to where I forget about politics, forget about people who don't like me, which are very few. There's hardly anybody that doesn't like me. Do I get an escape as he raises his hand? I love it.
Joke.
Yeah. So with Wonder Woman, not one of my favorite movies. Real quick, it was, dude, I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting something else. Less of a love story, I guess, more action. I even got up to go use the restroom halfway, and I was like, man, I feel like I should have had more fights or something. And with Cheetah, is that right? Yeah, with Cheetah, I don't know. I was expecting more from her, even though there was a good amount of her. I'm not sure. I don't know. I feel like there was something missing for me.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alan?
Generally speaking, from an action standpoint, I like the movie. I think the story was very predictable. As far as how it unraveled and the characters that were, not necessarily the characters that were introduced, but just the way things built up. I was like, okay, in my head, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to happen next. This is going to happen next. Yep. Check. So in that way, it was it was predictable for me. I still enjoyed it, I guess, as far as just entertainment value. Um, I thought that maybe I didn't expect the cheetah scene to be that short or that far into the movie. I was kind of hoping for that to be a little bit, not like, it almost felt like the cheetah thing was like it was thrown in. Hey, here's this giant thing, and you've got this thing to deal with too. Kind of like the third Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire. Kind of like that Spider-Man. How you had Venom, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh, and Sandman's back, and the Green Goblin, and you're like, what is going on? Like,
Do you think
the main character, the main bad guy was Sandman, and then it's like now you have these other two things to deal with too.
Do you think, I've seen this with different movies, as you were saying, Spider-Man 3. I can think of a couple, maybe even the Joel Schumacher Batmans, when there's more than one villain. Maybe the shows need just one villain, unless those two villains work together closely. I don't know. I just feel like it's just too much to throw in a movie.
So here's my hot take on it. It wasn't horrible, but it was, in 2020, what I got was a 2005 superhero movie. It was, I think there was way too much stuff in it. I mean, like you guys are both saying, there was too much, and it's not that there was too much villains. It was the fact that they tried to put in so many stories. Let's see. You had the stuff with Cheetah. You had the stuff with, and we're going to start getting into spoiler territory now, guys. So if you haven't seen it, it's literally on HBO Max. Come on, just go watch on HBO Max.
Not with the trial. You can't.
Yeah, but so you had the Cheetah storyline, then you had all the stuff with the magic rock, then you had Chris Pine's character that came back, then you had and then you had this stuff with Max Lord, and they were trying to tell too many stories for any one of them to be good in the time frame that they had. If they had you can do stuff like that and it'd be good if you have like a season of TV to put it together.
Yeah.
We saw that stuff in like the Marvel TV shows that were on Netflix with, Daredevil and Jessica Jones and all of that kind of stuff. Punisher,
badass.
Punisher, Luke Cage. Those were all, big stories, twists and turns. Sometimes the season was too long and you had some filler episodes in there, whatever. But for this 2.5 hour long movie, it was too much. I thought that they did. And it was too much to do anything good with any of the stories.
Yep. I think
one thing I didn't pick up on was the whole, so you make a wish, and I didn't pick up on the fact that it took somebody's power. It took Wonder Woman's power. That's the thing I didn't grasp until later on when she renounced her wish. That's when I was like, oh, now she's stronger again. It's like, okay.
Yeah, they kept talking about the monkey paw, which is, that old fable of the monkey paw that had, you can wish on, and whatever you wish for, you'll get it, but it's going to take something away from you. So you can wish for $1 million, but it's, but the love of your life is going to be in a car accident and die or something. It's one of those things, like it's going to take stuff that's happy away from you. So, I mean, I got all of that stuff, but it was, it was just too much. And like
Hey, what was Max Lord's thing that got taken away? I'm sorry to interrupt, but
it was his health.
Oh, okay.
So that's why, because, and I thought they did it. It was very, although it was too much, they did it very subtly, which is one of the few things they did subtle in this movie at all. But they went to, it was, you saw him like as he's going into his building, and you realize that he's kind of a scam artist. And one of the things he says to his secretary was like, are my supplements out? And then when he's at the party with Barbara later on, who's Cheetah, he keeps talking. He's like, biotin, you know, you'll look like you never age and all of that stuff. So he was a big health kind of guy. And so that's why he started getting sick.
Boy, that was subtle. That was very subtle.
Yeah, the thing I noticed, I remember like in the scene where like you know you start to see the veins pop up on the side of his head, and then they also have the broken vessel in his eye. That's when I was like, oh, he's not doing too well. But I didn't realize it was taking his health until later.
It was, but yeah, it was so there was too much going on in this movie to be good. It was like I said, it's a 2005 superhero movie in 2020 when we've seen so much. And the first Wonder Woman movie was absolutely amazing.
It was awesome.
Agreed.
I thought the first Wonder Woman movie was great. But this one just really fell short for me. It wasn't. It again. I'm not going to say that it would. This is how I put it to like other friends that I'm on a text thread with and stuff like that. I was like, Wonder Woman 1984 is horribly mediocre. It wasn't wonderfully mediocre like a B movie, like a B bad movie where, you know what I mean? Where it was like, oh, we're trying
Sharknado.
Like on purpose, we're trying to be bad. It was, I'm really trying to do a good job of this. And I have a whole lot of, money behind it, but it just wasn't good. I hated, I thought the invisible jet thing was a nice little bit of fan service, but I thought it was kind of unnecessary. And then when all of a sudden she learns to fly, I hated that.
I was like, what is that? I was like, I actually said out loud, I was like, so Wonder Woman flies now? Like,
well, Wonder Woman in the comics can do stuff like that, or it was always kind of like it was more like the Hulk where she could like super jump. Sometimes she could fly, sometimes she could super jump, sometimes she could do whatever. But it was one of those things where it was like, but the way that they went about it, I was like, come on, this is
where he like explains like, oh, it's all about air and lift and blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden she has that short. Connect the dots and now I can fly.
And I didn't understand this. I didn't understand what the point of bringing him back and him having to be in someone else's body had to do with anything. It was very strange. And I think like the very last scene in the movie was tacked on like after they realized it wasn't coming out until Christmas time. And they tacked that thing on where she sees the guy whose body he was in. It was like, do you realize that, like maybe you should let him know that you kind of had non-consensual sex with his body for that week and stuff, that he doesn't know where he was and has no memory.
Hey, have you seen her? He probably doesn't mind. Boy, that was sexist.
But it's one of those things that it was, good pointing it out though. But it was one of those things where it was like, what's the point of this? I mean, her wish, the bad thing that happened to her because of the wish was she was losing her powers. What the fuck did that guy do?
Yeah.
That guy didn't make a wish. That guy had no idea what was going on.
Why didn't they just bring him back instead of
just bring him back unexplained? I would have much rather him had shown up and
I'm thinking, what if
been in his army clothes or whatever?
It's a wish, and she's losing her powers. What if he had a small penis? That's not fair.
That's horribly unfair,
right?
And it was, and it was one of those things where, like, the whole like all I see, the whole like only thing I see when I'm with is you. I don't, but everybody else sees this other guy, and they had that scene in front of the mirror where they explained it, and I was like, this is. It just, there was so much happening that at several times during the movie, it pulled me out of the movie, where I was like, this, even in a world where I can suspend my reality, this shit doesn't make sense, or they didn't explain it at all. They go to Egypt and whoever the sultan or king is or whatever, he wishes for his lands to be back. And then all of a sudden, walls come up out of the ground. This insane, miraculous thing happens. And they really spend no time on it. And then they're supposed to get back to New York from Egypt. and they literally make it in the nick of time, and it looks like she's like kind of skids into the scene, and it was like, you didn't explain any of that stuff, you know. And I'm not, it's like, so your magic, how did you get back? Did you take your magic invisible jet? You lost lost the coffee cup that you made invisible before, but do you remember exactly where you parked your jet? There was stuff that pulled me out. How did Barbara know that they were at the White House when she came in to have that first big fight after all of that stuff? I mean, and it was one of those things that it could have been explained in a sentence, you know, it could have been explained somehow or whatever, but there was, all you had to do is like Max reached out to Barbara because he knew that that's where he got the rock from or whatever. The other thing that brought me completely out, their Ronald Reagan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I'm not looking for it to be like an exact impersonation or something like that, but we all know that was supposed to be Ronald Reagan, and that guy looked absolutely nothing like Ronald Reagan.
Nothing like him.
It was just, there was stuff that happened in the movie that took me out of the movie that made me, anytime you take me out of the movie and make me go like, what the fuck is this? I'm not having fun with it anymore.
What did you think of what's her name? Cheetah's her real life flame.
Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
Yes. Kristen Wiig. Kristen, in my opinion, Kristen Wiig was the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
I thought that she played that character, and Pedro Pascal, you know, I'm sure he was acting.
I think he did a good job.
He was acting the way the director told him to. Do you know what I mean? It was over the top, but I'm sure he was told that that's what he was supposed to do. But Kristen Wiig to me was the absolute best part of this movie. Everything she did was as she was Barbara and then transitioning into Cheetah and all of that stuff seemed real and believable to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it got kind of janky there at the end, but it was it got kind of janky at the end, but it was still a really good movie. You know, her performance was great.
Yeah. Were y'all excited to see Linda Carter? Like,
I was like, no way.
I saw it. There was it, and maybe it was how I was. I watched it on HBO Max, but I didn't watch it on my TV. I watched it on my iPad, okay. And there was something weird. It was. I don't know if it was
the fact that she's 69 years old.
Well, but I don't know. But I don't know if it was one of those things where they put too much CGI on her to like de-age her or something. If they put too much or not enough, she just looked a little. It was very cool to see her, but her face looked a little off to me.
It did to me as well.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to sound shitty or whatever. It's one of those things, you know, kind of like with when you saw Luke Skywalker in the last episode of Mandalorian for season 2. It's not that it was bad, it was just off.
Yeah.
And that's how, and the Linda Carter thing seemed to be more off to me than the Luke Skywalker thing. It was just off. But I thought it was the movie I want to see. I want to see the movie where her and Diana team up.
Okay.
I want to see that part of the movie where there is no Max Lord and the wish thing still happens, but it's her and Cheetah, and she's losing the power, and the Amazon has to come in and help Wonder Woman at some point and teach her the lesson of how do you use your powers, or you're losing your powers, so you have to give up the wish or something like that. And it's Linda Carter. I would have much rather seen that movie.
Linda Carter flies in with the golden wings. Here, use this. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't even say flies in with the golden wings, where it's like she finds her, she gets beat up or something, and Linda Carter has to come in and just like has been following the news stories and goes and finds her somewhere and nurses her back to health along with Chris Pine, or Chris Pine finds Linda Carter, and then then that's how, like, you don't have your powers, you're not up to full strength, so if you're gonna fight and you don't have, and you're not going to renounce your wish, well, maybe this armor will help you. And maybe in the big fight, she has to renounce her wish.
Yeah.
And you see Chris Pine like wave goodbye to her or telling her to renounce her wish or something like that.
I will always love you. Is that what he said? Something like that?
I don't know. But it was, yeah, he was like, yeah. But it was one of those things. It was just, I wish it was a better movie.
Yes.
It wasn't a horrible movie. I don't plan on watching it again, even though it's on HBO Max and I can watch it whenever I want. I don't plan on watching it again, and I'll catch it on basic cable.
Yeah. I agree. From an, like I said, for entertainment value, I liked it for entertainment. But
it was Spider-Man 2. It was X-Men 3. It was
X-Men.
But that's what it was. It seemed like it's not what it should have been.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so that was wrapping that up, I guess. But I do have a question. There's this. So Wonder Woman for me, I remember the '70s Wonder Woman. Made me think of two movies that I would like to see a remake of, or a revamping of, and just kind of taking y'all's thoughts. The $6 Million Man and Buck Rogers were two shows when I was growing up that I really enjoyed.
Haven't seen either one.
I have. I think they're actually doing Buck Rogers either as a TV show or it's either going to be a TV show or it's going to be a movie. But I think they're doing a take on Buck Rogers.
Oh, what was
I don't know.
Linda Gray? No, I already got Linda's in my head. So
the Buck Rogers. I'm thinking what was the robot?
Twiggy
with the bowl cut. Beady. But yeah, so I think they're doing that one. And $6 Million Man, I don't know how you would do that in today's cinema and make it super cool. Do you know what I mean? Because all of the stuff that was kind of science fiction-y back then, we kind of have now. You know what I mean? Like, you have night vision. You have being able to look through a scope and see those cool red dots and stuff like, I mean, that's stuff that's, I don't know if it would have the same cool impact as it did in the 70s with Lee Majors.
I'd still like to see it.
Listen, if they made it and it was, I'd watch it. Don't get me wrong. If they made it, sign me up. I just don't know if that premise I don't know how you would make that premise cool in 2020, 2021. I don't know.
How about the Fall Guy? I'm just kidding.
Well, here's the thing, dude. I love the Fall Guy. Fall Guy was my jam. Because when I was little, my dad had. It wasn't the same truck because Fall Guy had a Chevy, but my dad had a 1976 Ford F100 Ranger package that was a 4x4 that had the big roll bar in the back and the KC lights on the top and stuff like that. And so it was like, that was my jam. I knew the Fall Guy because that had my dad. Dude, we're going to get demonetized because of Wheels on the Bus in the background.
Oh, well, maybe it's low enough. Maybe it's low enough.
It has gotten progressively louder.
No.
It's the weirdest thing. I was like, is he like inching it closer to the mic? Is that
no? They're downstairs.
I'm so interested in what that is. Can you really for that? I mean, just seriously, I want to know the rules of demonetization. And I know music and songs, but
because I was watching some videos where they were doing the reactions for the last episode of Mandalorian, and it was weird because they would show like 10 seconds of the clip, and then they would cut the clip, and they would come back and show like another 3 seconds, and then they'd cut the clip, and then they'd come back and show like another, and then at that point they could show like 20 seconds, and it was like I'm thinking that's what it is. They're cutting it so that they don't get demonetized, and then okay, now we can show it again after this specific amount of time. Show this much. All right, now we have to not show it. Now
and
back.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the rules are on any of that stuff, and I think that people who have figured it out by trial and error, where it's one of those things where it's like they'll say it's demonetized, and then you contest it, and then they tell you why it was demonetized. So
Yes.
then now you know that rule.
So
I mean, you
there's-
have to do something else.
There's
next
certain
movie
words that
review,
you'll
we'll throw that in there. We'll the next one.
yeah, there's
kinda-
certain words that you'll say and has nothing to do with anything. And just because you said this word, you're
Mhm.
demonetized.
Oh yeah,
It's a sliding scale with YouTube
yes, it's very strange.
because some channels get away with it and other channels don't. So it's like,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Bringing in the money.
Should we hit the wheel?
Right on. Let's do it.
Tell them about the wheel, Mr. Allen.
So the wheel of questions. If you have a question that you want to submit, we will vet it first, and then it goes up on the wheel. And then we'll, if it gets picked, give you a shout out, and then we'll also answer your question. If you have any questions for that wheel, you can either leave them on comments on YouTube, or you can email us at theweekenda2z@gmail.com.
Yep, absolutely. We'd love to hear from you. So just leave us a comment or shoot us an email.
Here we go, guys.
Yeah.
I've always see this little spin button. I could put that there. I can hit it and it spins, or I prefer the.
I like the, yeah. It reminds me of the giant wheel on like.
Oh, very apropos.
COVID vaccine. When available, will you take it or have a family member take it first?
And I want to say this comes from John Bailey.
Okay.
My cousin gave us this when he actually is in the Little Elm Fire Department, and I think this is one of the things that he's having to deal with right now. So, yeah.
Who wants to go first? Because my
Go ahead,
answer will be
Justin.
long.
Oh, go ahead.
All right.
Do you have to have? Okay, so is it like you have to take it, or your family member has to take it first, or is it like we can both like sit back and watch everybody else take it and then decide?
I think we'll go with that one. I don't think it's going to be like either I take it or my wife takes it or something like that. We'll just take it as in. I think in the spirit of the question, it's more along the lines of, would you like to see what side effects or things are happening before you take it?
I want to know
the spirit
what,
of the question.
So me personally, I'll go first. I think we need to actually understand what COVID does long term, and I know it's going to be like 20 years before we learn everything about COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, I'm not keen on being like, yeah, let's go ahead and take it right now. I definitely don't want to be part of the first round or the second. So yeah, I'm gonna wait. Me personally, I'm gonna wait. I'm also proud that the fact that I haven't got it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're knocking us down one by one here on the podcast. I had it first. We got JT. Maybe we'll find out in the next week or two if he did. Did he test positive? Did he let us know?
He hasn't said yet.
Okay.
He got tested yesterday. I don't know if he has his
yesterday.
results yet back.
Gotcha. Well, we'll find out here shortly, and that'll be look to our next episode.
Mm-hmm.
For my family and myself, I do know that my wife will take a flu shot every once in a while along with the kids. I don't take flu shots. I have never taken a flu shot. My wife and the kids are not. They're not going to be taking not because I'm telling them they can't. They just are choosing not to take the vaccine for COVID. And I probably will not either, knowing that I've had COVID. I'm maybe good for 3 months, but after that, I dealt with it. It was, I know that some people get, seriously ill from it. Yeah, I'm just, it probably won't happen for me unless we're talking when I get in my late 60s, early 70s, and I probably need to take, those precautions. But until then, no, I don't think we're going to be taking it.
Okay. I will be taking it. As someone who has worked in healthcare and the pharmaceutical industry specifically for over 2 decades, with this one, I will take it. Normally with vaccines or medications and stuff that come out, I would be the first one to say, hey, don't, I don't think you need to be you don't want to be, it will be safer to take after it has been out in the world for a little while. The reason that I don't feel that way about this is because, one, you've had the world's leading scientists working on this now, nonstop, since all of this went out. Everybody at Pfizer, everybody, every pharmaceutical company was working on a vaccine at this point. So the best and their brightest work on this more than likely stopped progress on other things to get this done because of the issues that are going on in the world. Number two, although they have fast-tracked these vaccines, they didn't take out safety measures. Instead of sitting with the FDA for years and years and not getting looked at, they were looked at and scrutinized very heavily before being allowed to pass the FDA trials. Both, and that's not just with the FDA here in the US, that's health associations across the planet. So every major country, civilized country in the world, and some probably non-civilized countries, had their own requirements to go through, and it went through their vetting. So it's not just the US vetting, it's also UK vetting, EU vetting, all of those things. So this is probably one of the most scrutinized things. These vaccines are probably one of the most scrutinized medications that have ever come out in our history. The way to gain herd immunity is for 60 to 80% of the population to either have been infected and survived or be vaccinated or have been vaccinated.
A question on the herd immunity thing. Mm-hmm. So at first I was probably going, hey, yeah, let's all do the herd immunity. Whatever I'm trying to say. A tongue twister for me. Use my words, Scott. But the flu doesn't work with herd
immunity.
There you go. It doesn't work. It changes each year, and so they make their best guess for the vaccination for that year, and hopefully it hits. If not, then better luck next year. So I don't have anything against taking vaccinations or anything like that. It's just I didn't.
So I have a feeling COVID is doing the same.
So the vaccine itself works a lot differently than any other vaccine. This is a new type of vaccine. It's the mRNA vaccine, and I've read up on it, and what it does is absolute genius. Quickly, it is. So they looked at COVID. They looked at the virus itself, and they looked for a weak spot on the virus, or what they can exploit and attack and use against the virus. What they found on the virus is there is a protein on the virus that is what allows the virus to enter the cells, because viruses cannot replicate on their own. They use host cells. It's a parasite, so they use a host cell to replicate itself and then spread throughout your body more. That's what it does. So they found this protein, and what the vaccine does, most vaccines give you a mild strain of the virus. So that's what the flu vaccine does. It gives you a weakened strain of the virus to let your immune system see it and then start attacking it. What this does is they found this protein that they want to exploit so they can attack. So they want to teach your immune system to attack this protein. So what they did is they engineered this mRNA. So mRNA is memory RNA. So they inject that into you. Your body then produces that protein that is on the virus. Your white blood cells see that as a even though it's created by your body with this mRNA, they see that as a foreign entity, and your white blood cells go attack this asshole protein. As they're attacking this protein and they're learning to do this stuff, when you start feeling sick from the virus, that's your immune system building up and getting resistance, because your white blood cells will then learn to remember that this protein is not supposed to be in your body. Mm-hmm. So you're building that up. The mRNA will dissipate over time, so it's going to go out of your body. That's when the vaccine itself kind of wears off. So what your body now understands is that if it sees this protein on anything, and this protein is unique to COVID, it will then attack that protein. So that's where it comes from. So now when it sees that protein into your body on the virus itself, it will attack that protein, and it attacks that protein, making it so it will kill so when it attacks that protein, it surrounds the virus and takes the virus out of your body. The really cool thing is that if the virus mutates the protein itself to to get around whatever the vaccination does, more than likely it's so good at getting into cells and it uses that protein to do it, so it will manipulate that protein, and when it changes that protein, it will be harder for it to get into cells. It's an amazing engineering feat using your body to fight this thing off. So when you get the COVID vaccine, you're not getting a small dose of COVID. You are getting something completely different. But that's why once we have, the more people that get vaccinated, the faster we get back to normal. And that's the big thing. I've been sitting in my house.
Put my tinfoil hat on.
Yeah, I've been sitting in my house for 9 months, and I want to fucking go back out. And I'm not going to go back out until this thing looks like it's been beat. And it ain't beat yet.
So if I may put my tinfoil hat on.
Go for it.
Earlier, you had mentioned that, we have like these top pharmaceutical companies and doctors and engineers looking at this.
Mm-hmm.
It begs the question, why do we not have cures for some other diseases that are killing thousands, millions, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people? Now, I know that. Well, I know that making all this stuff is very, very, very complex. Mm-hmm. So I'm not trying to diminish that and go, "Whoa, it's all the same. Why not?" I understand that part, but that would be my question. Well, why is it still taking so long to?
I have a kind of a add-on question to that.
I mean, listen, Magical Johnson has the cure for AIDS. I will say that now. He's still alive. He's the healthiest AIDS patient I've ever seen. And to the point to where it's not even detectable in his body anymore. So you tell me what's going on. That's my conspiracy theory there. You tell me what's going on.
So my answer to that,
I want to add a little bit onto that question, because it's kind of the same question. I think the answer can follow. If this virus,
hey Scott, before you do that, can you take us out of this weird box that we're in over in the corner? There we go. Thank you.
If this virus was in a lab in Wuhan, how have they not? Or you're looking at it. Why is this in there? Why are you not working on a vaccine at that point? So I would have thought that they would have had a heads up or a head start on that anyway.
Okay. Let's hit Alan's questions first. You may have to remind me on your questions, Scott.
Yep.
So Alan, the reason I don't think that we have cures for all of these other diseases and things that are out in the world is there's a couple of answers to that. One is money. You take away the disease, you're not going to have any money. You're not going to have all that
stuff. Pfizer
stuff.
Doesn't make any more money than the millions and billions of dollars they've already made.
So there's the money aspect of it. The other aspect of it is who's working on what project. So in a case like this with COVID, my assumption would be that they pulled off people that had been working on stuff for a very long time, other drugs and medications to do whatever it is that they were doing, and they put them all on this. And it's one of those things, you've worked on projects in engineering and software design and stuff like that. When everybody is focused on one thing, how much faster does the project go rather than when it's just two guys trying to get shit done?
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, is why did this come about so much faster than when other things have taken forever? Well, because they put everybody on it.
Sure.
Everybody in the company. What's our focus? Our focus is COVID-19, because if everybody dies, then there's nobody to give us any more money. So, that's what it is. And Scott, hit me with your
I think
portion again.
what you just said kind of fits to that. So you have a virus in Wuhan. You have
Mm-hmm.
Joe and Tim working on that one, whatever they're doing. But
Mm-hmm.
then when everything happens, everybody in the whole world is focusing on this one. So I think that's why I added to the question. I really believe that the answer kind of fit the question as
Yeah.
well.
So I mean, yeah, that's the whole thing. Once you have everybody, I mean, and here's the thing: once everybody gets together, and how many times, Alan, you and I, worked together for years. How many times would you bring someone into a room that wasn't a part of the project, and they say one thing, and a bunch of light bulbs go off on people's heads, and you're like, oh crap, yeah, let's go that way, and it moves everything forward. So that's where I think everything is with this. That's why I will be taking the vaccine. It's not a listen. I just think that the people that are behind this, that are doing these things, it's the best that we've ever been. And by the time it starts getting out for the public, people of our age, to get out there and take it, I think we will have seen whatever side effects and allergies and all of that stuff that has been seen, because you are now getting this out to millions of people that are on the front lines already. And if the people that are taking this are the doctors and the nurses, and they're the ones that are trusting the science behind it, we as normal citizens should trust the science as well, because if they all get screwed up, we're fucked anyway.
So as these viruses mutate, I would like my answer to mutate. If anybody starts to grow a tail or an extra appendage, I will take the vaccine. Sorry.
You want a tail?
Yeah. Dude, you don't understand how bad I want a tail.
Hopefully it comes out where you want the tail to come out, and not like in your armpit or something.
I'm good with the tail anywhere.
No, you'd be like Ahsoka. You'd have the head tails or whatever.
Okay.
Hey, Alan, I can use that extra appendage anywhere it comes out.
Right.
It's not a problem.
Wow.
Closing remarks.
Also,
All right.
no, hang on, I got one more.
Go for it.
So, Alan, you shared a video today of a robot that was dancing.
Oh yeah, the Boston Dynamics robots.
Uh-huh.
So if you can actually, you put AI in that, we're coming to an end. And then I wonder, is the lab in Wuhan AI? Is there AI somewhere in the security that might have let the virus out to get rid of us as human people? And just kind of this was the process of that?
No.
Listen, as far as the first thing that we have to do is get past the whole uncanny valley thing. So robots won't take over until they can pass as with some sort of sentience, and we're very far off from that. The stuff that Boston Dynamics is doing. But all of that is programmed. You can't just put on a track and it's going to start dancing. It's all of that's programming. All of that's putting that stuff in there. So
how do we know AI
is it
not
weird?
Programming it? I'm just saying.
Because it would have taken us out way earlier, and it would have done so with nuclear weapons, not a virus.
See, that's how a human thinks. Okay, that's how a human thinks. AI, seriously, they are growing exponentially in their knowledge. So they're thinking a little bit outside the box or inside the electronics. Just kidding. So closing comments. I'm sorry.
I liked it. It was good. Take us out, brother.
All right. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email us at dweekenda2z@gmail.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at A2Z Weekend. Past that, anchor.fm/A2Z Weekend, where you will find all 11 locations for our podcast.
Why are you pinching that baby?
He's getting his diaper changed.
That's what happens when our listeners hear us leaving. They cry too. They usually
Cry too.
He hates having his diaper changed for some reason. Absolutely hates it.
Hold that mic up there like that. Keep going like that.
I hope it's not too loud.
No.
Let's talk like this from now on.
Oh,
man,
boy.
what's up, guys?
All right, guys. We'll see you on the flip flop.
Pow, pow.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.